Feel like you're blind to what's happening in your operation? Well, Surgair is here to give you the visibility you need to get your operation under control. Their singular focus is building AI-powered, frictionless supply chains that give you real-time, end-to-end visibility. Surgair utilizes IoT solutions with their SaaS platform, Interius. That gives you 99.9% data accuracy and better control of your operations. Get the visibility you need at surgair.com. That's SURGERE.com. And find them at Manifest in booth 527. Visibility, control, results, Surgair.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I am going to be joined by two guests. I'm going to be joined by Allison Myers, who is the Director of Marketing and Communication at Fives Intralogistics Corporation. And I'm also going to be joined by Scott Boyson, who is a digital marketing and sales consultant at Navigare. And they're joining me today to represent the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network, which is a part of the solutions community within the industry groups of MHI. So we're going to dig into a little bit about what is the solutions community, first of all, for people that are not familiar. And then we're going to dive into the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network, which is something brand new and something I think is going to be very resourceful for people out there in the industry. And we're going to hear all about how that resource can be leveraged and how you can take part in that. So Allison and Scott, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having us. Glad to be here.
Yeah, same. Looking forward to sharing what we've come up with here.
Definitely. And thank you for joining me both here. Very interested to learn more about this today. I think, we see a lot of things happening out there in our industry. So it's good to have some good solutions and resources to tap into as well. So definitely interested in learning more about this from you. So I guess let's kick it off first. I think, people are familiar with MHI in a sense, right? I mean, if you heard of ProMaT, you've heard of Modex, which if you're in this industry, you probably have, right? MHI
Absolutely,
is
right.
who organizes that, but they do many other things too. And one of those things is these industry groups. So you are both part of the solutions community, which is one of their industry groups. So Allison, why don't you kick it off here? Tell us a little bit about what is the solutions community itself.
Sure. Solutions Community is part of MHI. We're an industry group of leaders, really, on automation, software, hardware, equipment, services that fully support integrated supply chain. And this includes suppliers, integrators, consultants. We even have media people, academia from the universities, and practitioner and users as part of this whole group of solutions community. And what we do is really collaborate on solutions worldwide in a virtual way, but also sometimes we also meet together in person. And our philosophy is really to support the mission of a unique venue of where suppliers of material handling equipment and technology can collaboratively, and I think that's the most important part, is this collaboration, work together with the end users community to improve the marketplace and the industry for all of us.
Very interesting. Yeah. And I think that's one of the most interesting things too, is that collaborative nature within the industry groups, right? Because sometimes you see some companies that maybe you would think like, they're competitors, right? But they're kind of coming together a little bit and sharing information here. And I think the solutions community in particular has a very kind of diverse mix of professionals, as you mentioned in there, which brings a lot of different thought perspectives.
Yeah, we're over 90 plus companies that have come together to do this. And while some of us can compete A lot of times we work together on projects as well. So it really is a big community group, if you will, that really cares and are very passionate about material handling and about our industry.
Interesting. And now within the solutions community now, there's something newer, right? Which is a warehouse and DC solutions network. And that's something we want to talk about today. So Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is the warehouse and DC solutions network?
Sure. We've got a tremendous amount of expertise within the solutions community, as Allison mentioned, with over 90 members that really comprise some of the largest, most forward-thinking, innovative material handling companies there are. And we have practitioners involved, but how do we engage more practitioners? And how do we enable them to access and tap into the expertise that we have? So we've created a warehouse and DC solutions network. It's a platform that allows practitioners, those warehouse managers, those operations leaders, to tap into the expertise in a very easy and simple manner as they look at their projects, whether it's a new build or an upgrade or an addition or even a consolidation. If they've got a complex project in front of them, we can streamline that process for them and then allow them to access the solutions community in one submittal.
Very interesting. Yeah. And I think that's such a great resource, right? Because I think there's so much going on in the industry. Like there's a lot of questions, about, which way should I go, and, which direction should I use, which solution should I use, which solutions fits my type of product that I'm working with, all these different things that are happening, right? And which makes our industry really exciting, right? But at the same time makes it a little daunting too. Oh wow, there's a lot of options out here, right? So I think, having a resource like that is really important. But I guess tell us a little bit, because you mentioned in there, 90 plus companies involved in this, and, diverse mix of backgrounds from people from all the way from media, to consultants, to intralogistics corporations, integrators, OEMs, and, lots of different mix within that. So tell us a little bit about, how having such kind of a diverse mix of professionals makes a difference to create that resource, and I guess make it more resourceful, I guess, in a sense.
Sure. The main focus here, I think, is efficiency and really effective output from, your other options. Currently you can search online, and there's plenty of resources online to find what type of solution that you might want. But where do you start? As you mentioned, the technology is changing very quickly. How do you search for something you don't know the answer to? It's difficult. So what we've created is a platform where you can submit the project and very simple details in your project and send that out, as opposed to, say, heading out to a trade show and then looking at a trade show over 1,000 booths and deciding which ones you can visit and have separate conversations and compile that information or go online and go through endless amount of research. This is a more efficient solution, so less time consuming. You're not going to get the overload of information that you would have if and then you've got, really good alignment, because you've got this one straightforward submittal, and you're getting a structured response over and over again against that submittal. So it's a way to access the top companies in the material handling industry.
That's what I would add that too, Scott, is right behind that are people like Fives, our company, right? So we design and integrate and create material handling solutions, smart automation solutions for companies. And there's a bunch of companies just like us behind that one click. So we see what's happening. We've been in the industry for years, and we're a huge group that can help you figure out what you're trying to do. And what I love about this is when people say, why use Warehouse and DC Solutions Network? Well, we've talked several times about it's the one-click power, right? You're harnessing the power of these 90 plus companies that are behind that submittal. But in addition to that, it's anonymous and it's vetted. So your submissions are anonymous, and behind that, MHI leadership is going to vet them to ensure that you get the best answers back to the problem or to the question that you have around material handling. And then what I love about it is there's no spam, it's just solutions. So we promise that you're not going to get all these unwanted emails. It's just real action really quick. So to Scott's point, you may go to a trade show and not know where to start. Well, here you get a great start. And all you have to do is simply fill out this form and sit back. And that's where you can tap into this huge solution community of network. And then from there, it's really kind of a fun thing because it's like this perfect vendor match to where we provide the solutions to you, and then you can decide where you want to go from there.
That's really interesting. I mean, I think that's such a great resource and tool because it is, as I said earlier, we've been talking about, I mean, there's just so many options on the market now, and, you know, having to navigate that, alone, I guess, you know, can be like a little, you know, scary and daunting in a sense. Like, you know, if you went to like Modex earlier this year, right, in 2024, it's like you walk in and if you didn't have like an idea of where you want to go or a plan, you're like, oh my God, like what am I doing here? Like it's overwhelming. Like it's insane, right? And I talked to a lot of people that, you know, were first time attendees, and you know, that was kind of their reaction. They're like, oh, I thought I could go for like a half day and, you know, do what I need to do, but like I need to be here for like 2 days minimum, right? At least just to walk through everything. So, which is great, you know, shows that there's a lot of investment, a lot of different optionality, a lot of different technology and potential solutions for all different types of applications within our industry. But it is a lot to navigate through. So having a resource like that, I can see being very valuable to people to, as you said, Allison, you know, kind of have this matchup of like, okay, what actually is the right thing for me to look at in a sense, right? Because it's nice to go and see everything, but, you know, if half of what you looked at is, you know, not applicable to you, then, you know, you probably could use that time a little more valuable. So maybe talk to us a little bit so we understand kind of the flow of this. How does, you know, I'm an operator, right? And I have a problem I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to make something more efficient, more productive. You know, maybe I'm trying to surmount a challenge with my labor force or something like that. How do I kind of go and, you know, work with the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network? It sounds like you fill out a form. And then from there, once you get this match, is there like a consultative aspect to it, or what happens after that?
Yeah, so I can walk you through that.
Sure.
The submittal process starts with going online at mhi.org and then visiting the solutions community, which would be /solutions community. And there you can access the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network page. So it's right there on the landing page. You just click on it. And then you can read the instructions of what the process is about and then get ready to submit the information on the project. And as Allison mentioned, it's anonymous. So we will take your name, but we won't disclose that to the solution community members. MHI.org will have that so they can contact you and work with you. And so what the form does is we tried to balance the needs of the community members to get enough information about what it is you're trying to do, what you have in front of you, what your challenges are, what your goals are, what parts of the operations are affected, where are the issues, and walks you through some very straightforward questions that you can hold on and save and print out and can work on that. But it's meant to be very easy to fill out from a practitioner standpoint. We have practitioners review it, and we've gone through it a number of times to make it as efficient as possible for everybody. And so once you enter in the information about what it is you're trying to do and why, and some of the details there and your contact information, It gets submitted. It goes to a leadership team at a Material Handling Institute. Well, they'll review it, make sure they understand it. If they have any questions, they'll contact you and discuss the project. And once that has been reviewed, it then gets sent out anonymously to over 90 plus community members. So you've got automation and robotics people, software people, logistics people looking at it. And they'll come back and see if they think they're a good fit for the project. They'll submit their response. And so you'll get another number of responses. Some of these will be complete project turnkey type solutions. Others might be just a piece that they think would fit really well inside the total solution. You'll get an opportunity to review those and select some that you want to move forward with and have discussions with. And you contact MHI, working through MHI. Maybe you'll be contacting five or 10 members and saying, I would like to talk to these people further. What they sent was interesting, and they can, and you're now much further down the road. And that's at that point, your contact information is then disclosed, so you can set up meetings with the people that you've selected. So it's a great way to really take a look at the expertise and the offerings from these companies and really cost-efficient review on your specific project with one submittal.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think that, having that resource, I think is such an interesting thing, because you have, like you said, you may not know what to look at, and it sounds like the process is very easy. And I think the anonymous portion of that is very important to highlight as well, because I think, on the other end of the spectrum, you go and you walk one of these trade shows trying to figure out, what solution could be for me. And the other thing is, you don't necessarily want to get hounded, right? Or get a bunch of information that doesn't apply to you.
Right.
And, I've certainly talked to people where they attend and they try to turn their name tag the other way so people can't see like what company, because they just want to walk through and like see without, getting kind of hounded by no knock to salespeople or anything. I think,
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great way to go about that. So, but I'm curious, what if people are like, I have this problem and I just really have no idea like how to go about this, or like I haven't really invested in any type of technology or solutions. We've been in business, or smaller, medium-sized business. We've been in business for 45 years, and we were just doing stuff the manual way like all this time, and they really have no idea even where to start to think about any kind of transformation or bringing any kind of new solutions in. How do they approach that if they don't necessarily have like a defined problem or challenge to put into that form? Is that something like you can help them figure out in some way?
I think the most important thing is really highlighting the outcomes. Where are you trying to get? Figuring out what your goals are, what those barriers are, and clearly articulating what you want the outcome to be is going to be so helpful. So when you fill out the form, work with your team, work with your group, try to really understand what your business goals are. Where are you trying to go? What are those barriers or challenges you're trying to overcome? And if you can really clearly articulate that, this group behind you, and once you click through, we can help you. We've seen everything. We've done everything. We have groups of experts that are really smart folks that have been in this industry a very long time. And it's probably not something that we haven't seen before. So my whole big thing is, what are you trying to do? Highlight what your outcome that you want, and then let us take it from there.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Where do supply chain solutions come together? At ProMaT 2025 in Chicago. With over 1,100 of the world's leading manufacturing and supply chain solution providers under one roof, ProMaT 2025 puts you face-to-face with the people, technologies, and game-changing ideas that are shaping this industry's future. From seeing the latest in our industry to learning from some of the brightest in our industry, There's something for everyone at ProMaT. Will we see you in Chicago, March 17th to the 20th? Learn more at ProMatShow.com. And be sure to check us, the new warehouse, out at booth E10643. That's E10643. I see. So kind of like almost reverse engineering in a sense, right? Like this is what I want to happen, and now help me figure out how do I get there, right? So very interesting there. And I think, it's such a important thing to be able to leverage that knowledge, because I think no matter what, if we look at our industry, typically, like, you're not the first that's going to go through whatever you're about to go through, right? And there's people out there that have done these projects, and obviously you've assembled this, I guess maybe like Avengers team, right, in a sense, of these warehouse and DC solutions, and how they're able to be applied to different operations within different verticals, different product type, different industries, different facility sizes, you name it. I'm sure there's some experience within that group that's addressed something similar in some way. So to be able to have, kind of that partner and somebody like hold your hand in a sense a little bit along the way, I think is really important. So I want to talk a little bit here too, because I'm very interested to hear from you both, because you have such that diverse mix of backgrounds and concentrations within the industry and the group and the community. We mentioned here, the trade shows and going and out and seeing the solutions, right? We're coming up on ProMaT in 2025 here. As people are heading into ProMaT 2025, I think there's two questions here. I would say, I'm interested to hear from both of you. What is like the top trend or trends maybe that you're seeing people are wanting to see at ProMaT 2025 or thinking about heading into? And then how could they leverage the warehouse and DC solutions network to help to maybe get the most out of going into ProMaT as well? I don't know if Allison, you want to start there?
Sure, I'll start. So when we're talking about trends, it's funny because these are trends, but they're also the same things that always exist, right? So labor challenges continue, and those don't go away. And what we're really offering and what these practitioners are looking for are automation. And so we're continually seeing that push in automation, robotics, and trying to figure out that mix. Is it AMRs? How do I integrate cobots? What is that automation? What are those automation pieces to help me go from either manual processes to semi-automatic or semi-automatic to fully automatic warehouses? That's really where we're going. And there's still a lot of DCs out there that don't have automation solutions in them. So when you come to the show and you ask what's new, I think what you're going to find is you're going to find technology and solutions that are really continually trying to address that issue, those labor challenges, and helping people find ways to automate, where maybe you're in a brownfield and you have limited space and you need flexibility and you can move things around and you're tight. So finding solutions that fit into tight spaces. Or if you are trying to, for example, sort something that's very large, because e-commerce continues to grow and change on how we buy and consume goods. And so we've got larger things being shipped than ever before. So how do you sort those? How do you manually sort things that are on the fringes, right? So a lot of the equipment and sortation was really built around this main kind of easy packet size, and now we're really large or really small. So figuring out ways how to automate things and sort things that are unsortable, or those non-conveyables, making them conveyable, I think are some big challenges. So how do you attack those pieces and make it work? And then secondly, I hear a lot about AI and how you're going to work that into predictive maintenance. And I always push back and say, well, what does AI mean to you? Because I think that's a big buzzword. And I think what we're really trying to understand is AI is only going to be as smart as the data that you're collecting. So good data in, good AI out. So you really need to pay attention to what that is and work with companies that understand real, true data. Getting that information first is so crucial and important.
Interesting there. Yeah. And I think that's a great point about the data at the end, because I think not only like the AI perspective, but also just kind of any solution that's going to go into place now is going to be pretty reliant on data in itself to kind of have that understanding of, what's going to happen or what the possibilities are and what you're actually addressing, or just, taking action on, what should this robot be doing, or where should it be at a certain time. And a lot of data is probably going to, be able to tell it that. So I think that's a good thing there. Usually I hear, trash in, trash out, but I like that good data in, good AI out. I like that. That's good. That's good. Yeah. And
we go on the side of positives here.
There we
in
go.
The solutions community and the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network. We're about creating positive change.
I like that. Because sometimes some of these projects you do need somebody to just be like, hey, everything's going to be okay. This is going to be good at the end,
we
right?
Got this.
Yeah. So that's good.
We can get automation to you. There's a way.
All right. And Scott, what about your thoughts? What do you see?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think with the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network platform now, you can think about your next trade show maybe a little differently. You can submit your project now, start engaging, and then go meet effectively with the vendors that you've selected at the trade show. So rather than set up 5 separate meetings, you can meet and get deeper into the discussions about what you're planning to do, and then those questions you have, and delve further into it, as opposed to having a more surface level approach at the trade show. You can get down into it with people that understand your challenges, understand your situation, understand the space you have, and what you're trying to get done, and what your goals are, and if you need scalable solution, to discuss those. So you've got a nice platform now to get further into it and make your trade show visit even more productive than it has been in the past.
Yeah. I think that's a great point there, because it is almost like you can kind of go into the trade show if you leverage the network, right, to almost like a step ahead of the game, right? Instead of like, and I'm sure, there's still some discovery right at the trade show, but like instead of discovery being, or instead of only the trade show being only discovery, right? Like you're already kind of doing some of that discovery ahead of time, getting a little more concentrated, focused as you go there, which I think is a good thing, because you can certainly, as we've said here a couple of times, I mean, you can kind of get lost on ideas and solutions in there, because there's so many great things happening, right? But how do you go in with a more focused and concentrated approach? And it sounds like the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network can certainly help you to be able to do that. So if you have challenges, which I don't think I've ever met an operation that doesn't have challenges at the time, right? So, you can submit those and try to get those through the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network ahead of time, going into ProMaT next year in March, and, being able to have a little more preparedness and, kind of go talk to the people that make sense for those challenges that you're facing. So I guess in that regard, I'm curious, if somebody submits something, how long does it take to kind of go through the process and get a response and get those results?
Yeah, we took a look at that timeline. I think we had about a week to review the submittal by the leadership and contact you that they've received it and it's perfect, or they had a few questions, go through those questions and review it, and then get it and pass it off to the 90 plus solutions community members. And then I think we talked about a 2-week timeline for a response. So you're looking at about 3-4 weeks as when you get to see the responses from the solutions community to review. And those could be complete solutions or partial solutions. And, I did want to say, if you started this process early, there's separate rooms that you can meet in a trade show and have very detailed discussions. Not only that, the trade show does offer an enormous amount of value. You see a new technology that's being launched, and you can ask questions about that. Well, how would this, I just saw this morning. Does it, would this fit? Would this benefit me? Why? Why not? What are the advantages, disadvantages? So you're at the trade show much more informed and about your situation and what might be applicable to it. So I'd say about a month, you'll be reviewing the responses.
All right, great. And that's good to know, definitely for those that want to leverage it and prep themselves a little more, as we talked about here today, and also just in general, any time of the year, reach out, fill out that form, and make sure that you're getting the best resources you can potentially for whatever problem or whatever solution you're looking for out there. So I want to thank you both for joining me today here on the podcast and talking about this great resource that you're both working on and helping with from MHI and the solutions community in the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network. Really something I think that is very powerful and I think has a lot of potential to help a lot of people get to the right solution that they need a lot quicker, which we all value our time, right? I'm sure. And typically when we have a challenge, we want it to be solved yesterday, right? Versus tomorrow. So the quicker we can get to a more focused approach and really center in what we're focusing on, I think is very important. So you want to tell us one more time, where can people find the Warehouse and DC Solutions Network and what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, sure. It's mhi.org/solutions community. And there you'll find on that page the link to Warehouse and DC Solutions Network.
All
So
right.
mhi.org/solutions community will get you right there.
All right, great. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well as in the show notes for this show for wherever you're listening or watching at. So I want to thank Allison and Scott so much for coming on the show and talking to us about this valuable resource for operations out there. So Scott and Allison, thank you once again for your time on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Enjoyed this episode? Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the New Warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.